Hey.
Hi, everybody.
See Beth rushing to sit down. I hit go live before she's ready.
See that Skip hit go live before I was even sitting down with him?
He's jogging
like,
across the house.
go look, the door's open. Oh, go look over there. Go stop one of our kids from walking in. Oh, wait, go live.
Yeah, it's really funny to see her running across the house like a track star, and then right as she gets in the camera angle to elegantly sit down.
It's funny to see me running like a track star.
Wednesday is here again.
Welcome.
I feel like we need
Wednesday.
I mean, I know like Facebook Live is just supposed to be like you turn your phone on and going live and like talking with your pals. But like because we do it every week, I feel like it's like kind of like a show. Like we need intro music and like a lot of cool stuff. Like we've talked about it before, right?
You sing enough for all of us.
Needing some lights and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's what we need. Our kids would be more than happy to play you some intro music anytime. So they keep trying to convince us to let them stay up out of bed and come in here with us. So
here we are. On a Wednesday night, ready to get going.
And we're able to wear sweaters and jackets because it's a brisk 60
nice
degrees.
And cool, yeah. I mean, it's gonna
65 degrees out.
That was the high today, right? I think 65 or 68 or something was the high. I don't think it hit 70 today.
That worked for me. It was lovely.
It's like a 15 or 20 mile an hour breeze outside.
Actually, we were pretty cold. So I know all you northerners and maybe westerners. I know some people from Colorado plug in.
Yeah.
It's cold for us here when it's 65. Anything below 70, Florida people have their mega coats on. So, hi Vince. Welcome to Wednesday Night World.
Hey Vince.
We had all of our sliding glass doors open. We had the windows open. We had just this beautiful breeze. In fact, it wasn't just a gentle breeze. It was like powerful wind tunnel happening through our house today.
Because we had the sliding glass door in the back of our living room open. So if the front door opened, the wind would whip through, like blow everything over. Yeah, it was pretty neat. So really nice day, really cool day.
It was incredibly pleasant.
And last week we spoke about the wind of change, right?
Change is happening all around you, so we took it to heart.
We had some wind blowing through, but then we also were rearranging our whole house, like literally the whole house. The only thing that is safe is our master bedroom. We haven't done anything to, which we're going to do some things there too, because I've got a desk in my master bedroom that's going out tomorrow. So everything's getting changed. Every room in the house is being changed somewhat.
That's true.
So, and that's happening today.
So we didn't move anywhere to a different house right now, but everything inside the house got changed.
Yeah, so for the next all the way through the weekend, that's what we're doing. We're turning some things upside down. So
time for some new stuff happening around here. Because we need to enforce the framework. We want stuff to happen, and so we just need to adapt our lives to make it happen. So we're doing it. We're all in.
Yeah. And on a side note, as we were working today with all of our sliders open, like literally we have 1, 2, 3 sets of sliders going in an L shape in the back of our house around our swimming pool. And so we had them all open. We had all the windows open. Beautiful breeze coming through all day long. I went to put something in the outside fridge, the garage fridge, and there was a 7 or 8 pound.
I had a pork shoulder. I know everybody's been watching videos about how not to eat pork. I bought this before the videos came out, so.
I'm still eating bacon, sorry.
Occasionally.
So it went bad. Like the bag had been pierced, and so it wasn't vacuum sealed anymore, and it went bad. It stunk bad. So, I've talked about the compost pile on the side of our house several times, and some of the veggies and stuff that we got growing back there.
Skip is connected with the compost pile because it's also his veggie garden.
It is my compost.
So that's why he's talking
so
lovingly about the compost pile.
I do. When I was a kid, it was one of the.
We just see beauty.
My
everywhere.
special memories is that my dad started a little garden. He had a couple of seasons in a row. And I was the only one of the 4 kids that would go out there and mess around in the garden with him. So it was a good memory of me and my dad. So anyway, we have a compost pile, and we like I said before, we started that in Hawaii, and then we kind of adapted it over here. We got an empty lot next to us, so we dump our food garbage over there. Which, nice side effect, our garbage can never stinks like...
What you told them.
How I told you guys? Am I repeating myself now?
Absolutely.
Awesome
As
sauce.
usual. They are part of the family now.
Anyway, part of the family. Hearing my stories. I'm going to make a really good old man one day. So The pork shoulder went bad. It was big, 8 pounds or 10 pounds even maybe.
It was going to be delicious with some mojo criollo sauce. We were going to make it all delicious with some Spanish food.
Oh my goodness.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
You know who got to it instead?
So.
Who got to it instead?
The birds.
The birds got to it
So
instead.
I dumped it in my compost pile, and, within less than an hour probably, right? We had like 8 or 15 buzzards fly down, and we're starting to peck at it.
Yeah, first we see the swooping shadows.
Yeah.
And then they all come down there, and they were like kind of fighting over it.
Yeah, they're pretty playful. I mean, I heard a lady talking about them at Lowry Zoo and Lowry Park Zoo in Tampa, and she says they're pretty playful. They like to play with each other, which I never knew. So I don't know if they were fighting, or if they just horsing around, like they were jumping on each other's backs and pulling each other's wings and stuff. But it didn't look like they were like fighting. They seemed to be. But maybe they did.
A little aggressive.
Maybe a little aggressive, but I mean, you ever seen like a pair of lions play? Like they use their claws.
I
and
don't
stuff.
consider them to be lions, but
Okay.
that's
So anyway,
maybe
all of a sudden they scatter, like they're just gone, and this adolescent bald eagle lands and starts like staying there all proud with big yellow talons. He's got them dug into the pork shoulder, and he's the hooked beak and the whole thing. He's just eating away, and the buzzards would come back down, and they would start to get a little too close, and he'd look up, and they would all like back off or fly away, and he just owned that piece of pork.
So
it was
went
pretty phenomenal.
National Geographic style and just sat there and watched it for like 15,
I filmed
20
it. I
minutes.
filmed it for like 3 minutes, but
We'll bore them with that.
yeah. So it was like an 8 pound or 10 pound shoulder. The eagle tried to pick it up, and the reason we knew it was adolescent, obviously the bald eagle doesn't have his all white head yet until it gets a little older. So it was definitely an adolescent eagle. We have the eagle nests all around here in Cape Coral. It's like big news here. So the eagle that you guys saw hatching on TV probably was locally here.
I looked up today, and apparently I think it said 80% of the eagles or something are in the Southwest. So everybody thinks it's going to be like out west or Alaska. No, southeast. Yeah,
correct.
The southeast has a high number of eagles. So anyway, found that interesting.
So, and we have like 6 active eagles nests that, like, what was it, 6, 5 or 6 nests right around our house within a how many mile radius?
Within 5 miles.
Within 5 miles of our house.
Of the big
So
ones.
every year, like when we're seeing these cameras with watching the eagles hatch, that's here where we live in Cape Coral, Florida. So this adolescent eagle, teenager eagle, so to speak, he doesn't have his white head or his white tail feathers yet, lands and owned that place. And
he was a tough guy. He was like, he would just kind of fluff his feathers.
Yeah,
and everybody else knew to step off.
All the buzzards were back way off. Yep. And so he just ate till he was full. But the funny thing was, he tried to pick it up and fly away with it, but it was 8 or 10 pounds, and he couldn't. So he just dropped it and then stood on it and ate it right there. And I'm like, man, he's going to take it. He can't fly away with it, but he's going to eat the whole thing. Like, he was mowing. He was there for a while. And so finally he just got full, flew away, and then the buzzards came in and picked out a little bit more, and they all left, and then they were back again right before we filmed. I saw them all out there.
And I'm such a mom. I took pictures of my kids watching the birds.
Yeah, so maybe at the end we'll put a couple of pictures on the Family Faith fan page.
Fun.
So, yeah, Family Faith, fun,
flip-flops, family.
Fun, faith,
anything that starts with an F.
Yeah.
Falafel.
That's the F word you thought of? I said the F word on tape.
Food.
On tape. I'm showing my age now.
Was it a cassette tape?
Anyway. So, surprise topics?
Yeah.
You first?
You first.
I went first last week.
Okay. Surprise topic?
Okay, that was hard to talk into it.
Is corned beef and cabbage.
Corned beef and cabbage.
Because
Yum.
it is St. Patrick's Week.
St. Patrick's Week, that's right. It's
We celebrate
Friday,
all
right?
holidays
Friday's
for an
the
extended
17th.
period.
2 more days.
2 more days, we get a holiday. And it's a good one.
Yep.
It's one with delicious food. We went ahead and ate the delicious food tonight. So we ate corned beef and cabbage. I think we should talk about the fact that you hated corned beef and cabbage for
Wasn't a big fan.
most of your life.
No,
and
I
then
love
you're
it.
like 25 or something. You're like, I guess I like corned beef and cabbage now.
Yeah. It's delicious. I love it.
So all of our kids were mowing it
Maybe
tonight.
that should
They
be
were-
my surprise topic, the way my tastes have changed.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that. So yeah, let's
Go ahead.
add that in. The kids, you never know what the kids are gonna like. They just, sometimes complain about whatever you make, or sometimes they love it. So I thought this was on the bubble, some boiled dinner. And so we put it in front of them, and Daisy's like, this is delicious. I love it. And Sophia's like, this is my favorite. And so Jonah and Jude, well, Jude was, he tolerated it.
He picked the meat, ate all the potatoes.
He started to eat his carrots when Skip told him that they were going to make his eyesight better, and that he could be a superhero that could see in the dark.
Really funny. So Sophia, the lawyer, starts telling me how it's an old wives' tale.
Sophia's 12 and a half.
And so we had this big discussion, Google search and everything, and it says, for all of you that want to know the truth about carrots and your eyesight, that the vitamins and stuff that carrots have help you have really good eyesight health. It says it will help your eyes stay healthy. If you wear glasses, it will not fix your eyes. You're not going to eat carrots to the point where you don't need glasses anymore. So that was what it was saying. And so, is
that a fake news website or like a legitimate source?
It was legit. Yeah, it was legit. And so then it also said it is an old wives' tale that it helps you see better at night. That came from a World War II pilot, actually, who would see airplanes off in the distance while he was fighting. He was a fighter jet pilot. And he was not an airplane. He was a human.
Ooh, I'm an airplane.
And he did. He had the uncanny ability to see the enemy jets far off in the distance. And they said, how can you see that far away, those jets coming? And he says, because I eat carrots every day. And that's where that old wives' tale came from. So the military instantly started making all their pilots eat carrots with every meal because he said that.
Hopefully it was in like a shake or something. They could kind of hide the flavor.
Yeah,
carrots are okay.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
So anyway, they found that it doesn't help you see. So anyway, I had to argue with my daughter and I say, well, does it help you see better?
Sophia wanted to win a bet. So she was like, okay, does it help you see better?
All in fun.
Which one was the bet?
She wanted to say, does it help you see better in the dark? Mm-hmm. And so the thing said it does not help you see better in the dark, but it does help you see better. And I was like, well, better is in the day or the dark.
Skip and Sophia were lawyering.
Good times at our dinner table tonight. Yeah.
They were having fun.
We were having a lot of fun.
All right.
So.
Your turn.
I had a surprise topic, but I think I'm going to go with how my tastes have changed.
I think so.
That just kind of came up, so I'm going to roll with it. So I'll save my secret topic for next week.
Everybody in the whole world should know how you change all the time.
Yeah.
We're changing our whole house, but Skip is willing to make changes and be adventurous.
Yep.
For me, not so much.
Yeah, I'm a change agent for sure. I enjoy change. I
change.
I actually do. Aside from or I was going to talk about food and how my tastes have changed over the years, but in general, if things stay the same for us too long, or we're living in one house too long, I get edgy.
You could tell Skip through the years, his hairstyles, whatever was cool. If it was a mullet with some blonde feathered locks, he was all in. He was having a mullet with some blonde feathered locks. And if it was Kurt Cobain style boy bob hair, boy bob. All those 15-year-old boys.
What we called it.
Every 15-year-old boy goes through this long hair phase these days. So
I did have some long hair at some different
points.
points.
So Skip is changing. So one of the things that I can't keep up with is the fact Skip's I hate cheesecake. I despise it. I'm never gonna eat it. You would not say despise, but
yeah. And I love cheesecake now. I love corned beef. And
so all of a sudden last year,
what else recently did I
like cheesecake.
Asparagus was another one. I would, as a kid, would literally gag if I ate asparagus. Love asparagus now.
What about Brussels sprouts?
Brussels sprouts.
Are you into Brussels sprouts now?
Yes. She cooks Brussels sprouts in a way that are delicious, and then sometimes she'll sprinkle bacon bits on it. Oh my gosh, so good.
It's become a hipster food. Who knew Brussels sprouts were going to become cool again?
I feel like when you eat Brussels sprouts, you need to visit Europe.
Brussels.
Yeah. I wonder if that's where they came from. If anybody knows if that's where Brussels sprouts come from, put it in the comments. I'd like to know. But, so...
Cheesecake was a good addition.
Cheesecake was a good addition.
Yeah, Brussels sprouts, of course, that's healthy. Asparagus, I like all those things. But
so my taste buds have changed. Things changed.
Blue cheese.
Blue cheese. I love blue cheese now. I never ate any of the salad dressings that were not clear. I liked all the vinaigrettes and stuff. or Italians, that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, I love blue cheese dressing. It's amazing.
So basically,
wings.
I can't keep up with your changes.
I didn't eat wings.
He hated anything
Probably
spicy when we first got
probably
together.
not until 5 or 6 years ago, right? All of a sudden, I love wings. Like, I could eat wings all the time now.
I don't know.
Spicy food.
Yeah, he'll buy like jalapeno chips and stuff. You never used to do that.
I didn't like spicy food. Now I love spicy food.
I don't even know what to do with you.
She doesn't know what to do with me.
So, like...
Or...
I love how you're repeating everything.
Love how I repeat you? So...
I love it.
You love it?
How long is this going to go on?
How long is this going to go on? You never know how long this could go on.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord, this could go on forever. I'll stop.
Okay, thank you.
For the sake of our friends.
Thank you.
So, sometimes we
Thank
change.
God for friends.
She'll wear a shirt or something, and she'll go, do you like this? I'm like, it's not my favorite.
I'll wear a shirt, and he'll be like,
It's not my favorite.
So then I won't wear it.
So she doesn't wear it for months and months.
And then it'll be like the last shirt I have hanging.
And then
up
she'll
in the
put it on,
closet,
and she'll come out and I go, I really like that shirt. Is that new?
Good in that one.
And she's like, you told me you hated it. And I'm like, I never said I hated it.
Yeah, like that. Angry claw hand. Hate with the claw.
So, but having said that, those things change too. Like, so I don't know what it is about me. But
what you used to like and stop liking? Coleslaw? Oh,
no,
fried foods like
coleslaw.
KFC and
oh god,
what's that fish place?
All the fast food.
What's
Long John Silver's.
Long John's.
McDonald's.
There was a point. I
would eat McDonald's 3 times a week when I was doing kitchen and bath contracting, and I would just take off and go wherever's closest. It would end up being McDonald's most of the time, and I loved it. I didn't mind. It didn't bother me. Now. I can't eat McDonald's. I can't. Not their fries, not nothing. There's nothing there.
I used to drink a whole bunch of soda.
I used to drink soda.
You used to change sodas. You'd be like, I only drink Dr. Pepper, and then like a year later, you're like, I only drink Mountain Dew, and then
part of that was young. I mean, I was in my mid-20s, but so like my body could handle it and process it pretty quick. But
now we don't drink soda.
I was drinking 4 to 6 sodas a day.
What?
Back in Kansas soda, yeah.
You were?
Yeah, I was bringing 4 in my lunchbox.
2.
No, I brought 4.
Ew.
I had one on my first break, I had one at lunch, I had one on my second break, and I drank one on the way home.
So
4 sodas a day. Dr. Peppers and Mountain Dews.
Sorry to anyone that drinks soda, but that's just gross.
Yeah, so now the same thing. I'm lucky if I drink 4 sodas in a year. I don't hardly drink any soda anymore.
Soda.
And every once in a while, if I'm having some pizza or we're out to eat or something at somewhere, I'll have
I like
Coke.
Hush Puppies, like at Long John Silver's, like all those little Hush Puppies.
There's nothing at Long John Silver's I like.
But it's too greasy now. Like
Long John Silver's actually might have something to do with the fact that 2 of my best friends growing up worked there.
Don't tell us.
So I won't gross you guys out with that, and I don't want to out them on the video in case they ever watch, but I had 2 of my very, very good friends. It was the best friends I've ever had.
I loved it. When one of your friends worked there, he would give us free food sometimes. We'd go and visit. We were dating.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were married, but we were dating. We'd go and
we'd stop in,
Long John Silver's.
That
was really
nice. That was
nice
fun.
Of them.
They were super.
Because
I
Hush
miss
Puppies
them. Now I
are
miss
delicious.
them. I'm gonna have to
We're gonna
touch
cry
base
on
with them,
Facebook Live.
So
we do love those guys.
Anyway.
Hush Puppies, delicious.
Hush Puppies are disgusting.
Next topic.
So anyway,
Hush Puppies
now you guys know
Southern food.
my tastes always change.
Yes, can't keep up with Skip. Good luck trying with that.
That's how I roll. So. On to my taste changing. Let's talk about some of the things that were changing and some of the things we've noticed as we've made some big changes. Like, I feel like as we've made these changes that we were talking about last week, that we've kind of stirred some things up.
Yeah.
And so we've had to deal with some of that stuff this week. So we're gonna talk about that. So what we're talking about tonight is, you might have seen in the post that Beth put up, being powerful, and not being, a victim or living in a victim mentality, I should say.
So Skip is already pretty good at this. Skip has already made the switch, probably at least 10 years ago, 7 to 10 years ago. Skip kind of made this switch and, became more powerful and, realized, took responsibility and stuff. And so I think that maybe you're growing some more or whatever, but mostly what we're seeing right now is...
Maybe it actually started being a little more than 10 years ago, because I think it was like in the...
When we were first married.
The Amway days, probably. Did I say Amway video?
Outed.
I just outed us.
Because Skip changes everything, he also changes businesses and other ventures and stuff. Skip, it's like, shiny object.
Well,
and
no, I did. I joined Amway, but when we were, right before we got married, and then after we got married, we were in Amway together for a little while, right?
Most everybody knows what Amway is, but it's like multi-level marketing thing.
But so the really, really good thing about that came out of that was that, like, Living Powerful, they wanted you to read they had a book list, they wanted you to read, like...
Skip learned some people skills.
Yes, I did.
With it.
And so it was really,
respect and honor. I think some of that
had to connect with people and some of that stuff. I learned through that. So having said that, I never became an Amway millionaire, which I don't know anybody personally who ever has, but there are quite a few people who became very wealthy in Amway. We weren't one of them, but I did become internally wealthy, I believe, through my process that we went through, and listening to their motivational conferences and the book list that I went through and read. I didn't really read before then. I became a reader after that, so a lot of really good came out of it. But I did learn how to be powerful and own my stuff and that kind of thing.
And with hindsight, you're able to see, you have understanding to go, okay, it was great that I went through that. I learned all this stuff. So I think with all the different choices that you've made, it's gone through that.
Yeah.
We've been through a lot of changes.
Thanks, Mr. DeVos.
It's always better. From glory to glory, we're getting better and better.
Glory to glory.
Well, so we have noticed in our family that we're seeing a lot of kind of powerlessness around here. A lot of whining and complaining and I can't and, just this kind of mindset. And we go, wait a minute, that's not what it's supposed to be. So, I mean, a lot of it's happening from me.
Yeah.
And the kids. And so,
I say but it's not just Beth. I mean, there are times where any of us as adults can feel like a victim or powerless, right? And that does come out. It's human nature to always something happens and you're upset. I got pulled over the other day. It was one of mine, right?
Yeah, this is true.
And I was speeding.
You're not Master Yoda at this yet.
I was speeding a lot. I mean, I was going super fast. On the way home, it was dark on an old country road near our house.
I mean, it wasn't 100.
No, I was...
I was 65 and a 45.
He said I was going 62 and a 40, or 72 and a 45.
Ouch.
Yeah. But then I was hacked because...
Are you going to bring this up again?
No.
I'm going to strangle you.
I'll stop because she will strangle me. She hates this. So anyway, I came home and I was upset. I was
pretty good at this kind
it was
of
the
stuff.
cops' fault, the city's fault, because it was a speed trap, because it used to be 55 and they changed it to 45 and they put this old rusty flimsy sign up and it's not my fault.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to strangle you.
Realistically, even if the speed limit was 55, I was going 72. So
so you're more realistic on Facebook Live? Maybe we will live our lives on Facebook Live.
I think we are living our lives on
Facebook Live. We need to live 24/7 because you can own up to your stuff.
What if I went Facebook Live on this phone, on my Facebook, and we were double live? Would that be cool?
No.
Not this week.
No.
I don't think our internet can handle it. We have weak Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So
weak.
So anyway, I came, and the guy actually didn't even give me the speeding ticket. He gave me a ticket for failure to obey the sign. Because he asked me, do you know what the speed limit is here? And I said, yes, it's 55. And I really believed that. I thought it was 55. And I knew I was speeding. And he goes, no, it's 45 here now. They changed it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, but regardless, you were going 72. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, I'm sure. And he came back and he goes, you're lucky I'm the one that pulled you over.
Police officers have to put up with
and I was like, oh, gee, I'm so lucky. Didn't say that to him, but that's what I was thinking.
I don't want you to think that.
And so, he gives me a ticket for not obeying the sign instead of the speeding, which...
Are you really going to keep ranting about this?
I am. This should have been my...
Can we just move on? Okay.
She loves this topic.
So obviously...
So anyway...
Skip
to go back to what we're talking about. Full circle here. Full circle. To go back to what we're talking about. Wax on, wax off. I came home and I was acting like a victim instead of someone powerful and owning my choice, owning the fact that I was speeding.
Was it annoying?
Owning, all that stuff. I was blaming the cop. I was blaming the city for changing the sign without, blah, 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 blah. So I was a victim. Of course, Beth's like, you were speeding. You cost our family money. and she tried to make me own my stuff, and I was like,
how'd that work out for me?
"You're right, babe."
He was like a caged animal, like
upset.
like a raccoon in a trap, like getting me with his little tiny paw and his big claws and fangs.
My little tiny paws.
Oh my gosh, you were pleasant.
I was pleasant that night.
So
and I was coming home late for work, so it was already late, and it kind of ruined the rest of the night.
Gently broach it a few days after that, and it went just about the same. So
I could have taken responsibility for the fact that I was speeding.
Realizing that now.
But I didn't. I was a victim. I was victimized by the police in the city.
Oh, please.
Oh, please.
Please stop.
Please. Come on, move on. I'm trying to give you a go. Move. Move on. I got mouth diarrhea. I can't stop.
Oh, I see. You need a diaper.
I need a diaper for my
mouth diaper.
A mouth diaper. That's
Maybe we should make one of those for you.
Copyright. I'm copyrighting that right now. Mouth diaper. I have evidence, video evidence that I invented the mouth diaper.
It's gonna look like one of those masks, like that.
I'm still talking. Make it stop.
Except it'll have like a filter. Thank God for that filter.
Okay.
Please buy 100 of those.
I'm powerful, and I'm gonna change this conversation.
Please do. All right. So the point is that sometimes we feel powerless. Our circumstances, like getting a speeding ticket, sometimes, living in a family, all of those things, we can feel powerless when we're in a circumstance or situation where, we just kind of are looking down and we don't realize, okay, well, I actually could make a difference here. I actually could make a different choice or have a different perspective. So that's what we wanted to encourage everybody tonight, because we're seeing it in our own home. You're probably seeing it in your life as well.
And a lot of times when we feel powerless or victimized or all this stuff, it's because of us not making powerful decisions, not laying nice boundaries down, not, living where we want to live and making that life for ourselves. And on a side note, real quick, I don't want to say that you can't be victimized. Obviously,
right.
Circumstances happen. You can be mugged at an ATM or something, and you can't be powerful and say I wasn't. You were victimized at the ATM. Someone robbed you of your money or whatever. Then obviously you were victimized. But the difference is you don't have to be a victim from that point forward. You don't have to be living in a way that you're never going to go to an ATM machine again.
Right. That's what we want to talk about tonight. Is that you have self-control in order to figure out how you're going to respond to any kind of circumstance that you're in, any kind of thing that you're going through. So in the scenario that Skip was just giving, you have a choice to live in fear, constant fear, the rest of your life, or you can respond in a way that goes, okay, this happened to me, but this doesn't always happen. I'm not making a lifestyle out of assuming that this is going to happen because this was something bad, and I'm going to assume that good things are going to happen. Or, I can still be positive and upbeat regardless of circumstances that are happening. So that's the kind of thing that we do have control over.
Right. And then, so the other thing we have control over is boundaries. Because I think a lot of us feeling powerless or helpless when it comes to our family, our coworkers, or anything else is the fact we have really poor boundaries.
Yeah, for most of us, the life that we're living, the issue is that we are not actually saying what we mean or speaking up about what we need. And so then we are not living within any kind of situation where we are comfortable and happy. Like, we know we should be living in here, but, we're willing to let people push us out here and out here, which then, we're irritable or we're upset or whatever. And so then we feel victimized, like, okay, I'm willing to cook for my family of 6, but if, Skip invited another 15 people over tonight and I didn't speak up and say anything, then I might be grumpy, because he's pushing me way out here. But if I don't speak up, then, I am the one that, let my boundaries be violated.
Next time I bring over 15 more people, then, I'm not going to know. I'll think, oh, she just worked for 3, 4, 5 more hours in the kitchen to make more food and pulled everything out. It was
my
great.
wife doesn't mind.
Yeah.
Oh, she always lets everybody come over. But internally, I'm seething, or, I'm like under, like if I'm kind of passive aggressively like at him, or even just like, not saying it, but still being aggressively negative towards you in a different way or whatever.
Right.
That's a problem.
Yeah, so a good boundary there would be, I don't have food for everybody. You guys are going to have to go, to Buffalo Wild Wings or something and hang out because I'm not prepared for this.
Or okay, I'm happy
pizza.
to do it this week, but it's not something I want to get in the habit of doing every single week.
Whatever your boundary is, just to be able to be powerfully be able to stand up and say, this is where I'm willing to live. So. Right.
So this is one of my biggest issues that I'm still working on, which is why I'm sometimes having issues around our own home, is that for me, like I feel like I don't want to be a jerk, and so I won't speak up and say what I mean. I won't, tell the kids exactly what I would like, like, okay, you're welcome to go and play the piano for the next hour, but then mommy's going to have some quiet time after that. Like if I would just communicate instead of, them just banging around, every 15 minutes throughout the day and me just getting irritated with all the noise or, something like that.
Yeah.
So we did it today at lunchtime. I was bugged that, like everybody's hungry and then they all just sit down. Like, okay, Mom, go ahead and serve us. Do everything. We know you're busy or whatever. Like everybody just kind of like sits down and like the royal people waiting to be served. And so, I have just as much going on as them. Like we were all spring cleaning. Everybody was working hard around the house. It was kind of an unusual day.
Yeah.
And so I was super bugged that nobody helped get any kind of materials or the napkins or the drinks or the plates or making sandwiches. Everybody just kind of sat there and waited for me to serve them hand and foot. And so I was unkind and rude. I was definitely rolling my eyes and huffing around the table at lunchtime today.
No, she never does that.
And so Skip's like, okay, use your big girl words. And he was still kind about it, so it didn't turn into any kind of full-scale altercation. But, and so I realized, okay, what I mean to say is, hey, I'd like everybody to join in. Yeah. I'd like everybody to come with their drinks to the table. Jude, you can go ahead and help me bring napkins to the table, and I would appreciate some help with, making sandwiches when we're all working together and all this kind of stuff. I told Jonah, hey, I'd appreciate it if you go ahead and prepare the snacks and breakfast. And, I realized that a lot of our frustrations during the day are because we're not managing our time very well. Like we'll get started on something and then the kids are hungry, so then I have to stop and do it again. And then we'll finally finish eating, and then we'll go and start reading some more books for school, and then they're hungry again. I got to stop and make lunch. So I realized, okay, well, if we manage our time better, we go ahead and pull our snacks together at the beginning of the day, then we at least don't have to stop to prepare it. We can just grab it and continue with our schooling or whatever we're doing. So anyway, it was kind of an lightning bolt moment, light bulb moment.
It's kind of interesting, slightly on a side note. Like I feel like whenever we're gonna have these topics that we come up with, we end up the day of on Wednesday all day kind of dealing with some of that stuff, and it kind of bringing some different things in that subject matter. So
basically, we go through so much pain for you. You guys are causing us so much pain. I'm a victim.
You're a victim.
I'm a victim to the pain that the Facebook Live causes me. No, it just really brings to light the fact that, this is really something that's going on. And I know that if it's something we're going through, other people are going through it too.
Yeah.
We can all talk about it together.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
And one of the things that, like, with what was happening today was, once Beth got to that point of, like she was upset that we were sitting there. Like we didn't know that she wanted us to grab stuff or whatever. Nothing was communicated. So I personally, I can't speak for the kids, but I personally was not sitting there waiting to be, if I would have, been asked to slice a tomato or grab, I would have definitely done that. But having said that, like there was also a build up, like there was an unmet expectation all along the way for Beth that day. It was also uncommunicated. It was an uncommunicated, unmet expectation.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
So, at one point when she was like...
Well, to me, I'm already thinking it, so it just seems so obvious.
Now we have it on video that she expects us to read her mind.
It's obvious. If I'm thinking it, it's obvious.
So we'd spent 35 or 45 minutes before lunch watching the birds, which we talked about, eat the pork shoulder. So that came up in the discussion of her being upset, and it was
because we make a plan. We're gonna go ahead and spring clean our house, get everything done, and then okay, let's get started. Oh wait, let's stop and watch birds for 20 or 30 minutes, and then okay, let's get started. Oh wait, everybody's hungry. Let's go ahead and stop. So all of that kind of stuff is what's bugging me. But he's right. I didn't communicate it, and I didn't say okay, hey, guess what? I'm happy to...
And if we would have watched the bald eagle in our backyard for 10 minutes, if she would have said, hey, it's been 10 minutes now, let's get back to work, then we all would have kind of, filed off back to work. And, let Jude run out there and chase it away, which he was itching to do anyway, that kind of thing. So, that builds up all day to a point where she's like rolling her eyes and upset. And I said, why are you upset with me? And then and I was like, well, wait a minute.
Volcano moment.
Yeah. Now this is just complaining. It's not communicating, because if you would have communicated, at the 10-minute mark of watching the birds, then we could have done something about it. Now there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
So please, going forward, this is how we should communicate. This is the boundary. You can't be upset about things that I don't know about all day long and then dump on me, and vice versa. I can't do the same. I can't come home from work and, wonder why this wasn't done and that wasn't done if I never even said, hey, I would like it if these things got done, which, I've been known to do a time or two.
So basically, if you're seeing, in grown-ups and even with children, it's going to look a lot like complaining and whining, like this kind of victim mindset, like... Yeah. Everybody's against me, or they never do this for me, or that kind of, if you're using that kind of language, that's kind of a mindset like, oh, I'm acting like a victim right now,
powerless.
I'm acting powerless right now. And so that's what we have to realize, like, okay, wait a minute, I actually can do something about this. I actually can, in these kind of situations, I can speak up. I can change the atmosphere around me. Like, I could have chosen, if I would have realized, okay, I'm choosing to serve my family lunch, and I'm going to choose to do it with a good attitude. I have 100% control over my choices to do that, my attitude.
So for us, when we get into, like, with our kids, like a funny thing that we've come up with at our house is, like, Sophia, like, we'll be babysitting or something, and or not even babysitting, we'll be home, and we're trying to get the kids to all work together on something, and I'll tell her, Sophia, you're the older sister, natural leader, lead them. She'll roll her eyes, okay, fine. She goes in there, and then, she'll come out 15 minutes later all frustrated, and she says, I can't get them to do anything, right? And so one of the things that we've come up with that I will say to her is, we don't say the T word. And at first people are like, T word, well, the word can't. You take the T off it, and it changes the word can, obviously. So I've changed that. So when they say I can't, I will say, we don't say the T word in our family. And so they have to take the T off the word can't and figure out a way that they can do it. So instead of saying, I can't do this, what they really need to do is, the real thing, the real statement would be, I need more tools. I don't know how to do this. I need help. Could you help me, teach me how to lead? Those kind of things, because that's a can. I can do this. I just don't have the right tools, right? So instead of saying, I can't, you're now saying, how can I get the right tools? Or how can I get the right information? How can I get the right words? How can, these things. How can I? And so instead of saying, I can't do this, all of a sudden you become powerless. and you've given yourself over to the problem versus
Right.
facing it head on.
Yeah, and it's exhausting to kind of force yourself to make new mindsets. You know, like you have to really think about it. You know, if you're used to always just going, well, I can't do that, and then just giving up, then you're going to have to make some new muscles to push past that and to go, okay, well, how can I do this? You know, what is the solution here? So if you get more solution minded, you're actually trying to think of how you can do something. That's where you start to become powerful in your choices. When, you know, when our kids, they go, oh, it's so hard. I just can't do it. I can't make people listen to me. And I said, oh, is it frustrating when you ask people to do something and they don't listen to you?
Welcome to my world.
Oh, I feel so bad for you. You know, and then they'll kind of realize, oh, wait a minute, that's what I do to you as well. So then they are able to see in their circumstances, okay, well, this is a similar circumstance to what I do, so what do I do? You know, Sophia and Jonah are starting to be, you know, 9 and 12 years old. They're starting to realize, all right, well, okay, we can figure this out. How are we going to do it?
Yeah. And it's not easy at first, but you got to start just
learning anything. Yeah, it's work at
making
first.
A choice. Instead of saying I can't, say, okay, how do I do this?
But it feels good. It feels good when you're doing it, so it makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, and I really feel like that it's important to understand when there's a problem or an issue or a circumstance that, you know, honestly, a lot of people would run from, to turn and face it and run towards the problem and figure out how to win, how to beat that problem, how to fix that circumstance.
And this kind of whole mindset was so different than anything that I had ever practiced. I mean, I don't remember having this kind of mindset when I was younger at all. And so when I would see Skip set a boundary, when Skip would say, okay, well, this is what I'm willing to do, and it wasn't what the other person wanted him to do, I would just like freak out. I would really get upset and be like, well, Skip, you know, they want you to do that. Why don't you just do it for them because they want you to do it, you know? And Skip's like, well, this is what I'm willing to do. I know I can do this, and I'm willing to do this. And so that caused us some definite issues in our younger years because I just was not used to this kind of mindset with boundaries very much at all. And Skip was pretty solid. He wasn't going to be moving off of those boundaries. And so, you know, I think that it's good. Once we figure out what sits right with us, like where we have to live, then for us to be able to enforce it, you know, with some generous corners for, you know, a legitimate emergency or something that's actually, you know, like actually needing someone else's emergency. But most of the time, what people are deeming as emergencies that you have to hop over and do something for them, you know, it's not actual emergency. And so we see a lot with our children. Oh my gosh, you got to come right now. Okay, well, I just want to show you what my room looks like clean. You know? No, that's not an actual emergency. So for me, some of the boundaries that I'm learning how to set is things like to enforce some quiet time. Like we're living in a family. There's a lot of us in this house, and I just am a person that requires quiet. And so we have started to, as our kids have gotten older, we've started to enforce honoring our furniture. Like no longer, they're not little cute little babies and diapers jumping around on our couches. They're big, stinky, you know, pre-tweens and tweens and elementary school kids. So we're starting to go, okay, well, you're welcome to go outside with that kind of play, but you're not welcome to stand on my furniture anymore. So we're starting to enforce that stuff better. And so for me, that was some of my biggest issues, is to, like what Skip was saying before, to actually communicate something, to actually say what I mean, instead of just like, you know, being scared of someone else's reaction. Like I won't tell him what I want sometimes because I am concerned about any kind of like strong reaction back. I don't like confrontation and stuff. And so the same thing with the kids. Like I don't want to hurt their little baby darling feelings, or I don't want to curb their creativity or something. Like I actually want the living room clean, but I don't want at the second hour of their game, instead of asking them to clean it up and just communicating what I want. Okay, game is done. Let's go ahead and clean it up. Would you like to clean it up now or in 10 minutes? I could give them some kind of boundary that I would be okay with. And I know that it's good to have it cleaned up, so they should do it. But then I think, oh, well, I want them to be artistic and creative and all kinds of stuff. And so I let things go too far, and then I am completely irritable that the house is a mess, and I'm, slamming things around the house. And I'm like, oh, this house is always a mess. You guys don't do anything good around here. And like, okay, wait a minute. Beth is being a victim here. I'm not powerless in this situation. I could have asked them to clean it up, and I could have required that they meet that standard.
And that's, to make powerful choices outside of the home when you're not dealing with your spouse or your kids, that kind of thing. This is something very famous that me and Beth would talk about all the time. Even some of our friends know about it. Like, someone would offer her, would you like Coke or water? And she'd go, no, whatever you have more of. Or whatever, I'll have the water. And I knew she wanted the Coke. Like, I know my wife. And why didn't you ask me? They offered you Coke or water, and you took with the water. Well, there wasn't a lot left in the jug, and I didn't want to take the last of it, in case they wanted it. And I think a lot of times when we try to think about what the other person is wanting or saying, many times we can be wrong. But even if we're not, even if there was only enough for one glass of Coke, and the other person is offering us Coke or water, and we choose Coke, then that then becomes their issue.
Yeah, Skip started taking people at their word, and he's like,
right.
well, that's what they said. So,
right.
Like, and then sometimes...
And my life got easy.
Yours got easy, and then you required people around you to also make powerful choices, and sometimes they got upset too,
Correct.
Like, and Skip's
Again,
like, well, they
issue.
offered it,
right.
When one of the things that Skip did was when you stopped letting people gossip around you.
Oh my gosh.
Skip
I hate
started
gossip.
Requiring, he started making a powerful choice. Okay, well, I'm not going to participate in some conversation where we're talking badly or negatively about somebody else.
I refuse.
And so a guy came up and was like talking to Skip, and this guy did it, and Skip goes, oh, did you talk to him about that? And he goes, no, of course I didn't.
And in my defense...
Not too much information.
In my defense, it was the second or third, fourth time. Like, this person was known for gossiping. And so, on the second, third, or fourth time, whatever it was many times into me saying, have you talked to them about it? I did it again. Have you talked to them about it? Like, if you're that upset about the way they're treating you, you should go talk to them. No, I didn't, and blah, 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 it wouldn't do any good anyway. And I go, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to call him right now and tell him that you have an issue with him and that you need to talk to him. Oh, no, you don't have to do that. And I went, no problem. Hey, I was just talking with so-and-so, and they have a major issue that they want to talk about. And he's standing next to me. And he's looking at me going, like he couldn't believe that I did it, right? And so the other person in the line goes, oh, really? I didn't even know. Like, what's the issue? And I go, you'll have to ask him. I didn't want to get into the between.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not going to be, I'm not going your way and telling anyone his issue. No way. And so finally, the other person on the phone, at the other end of the phone, the next day or 2 days later, went and talked to them, and they actually talked about the issue, and it actually worked out okay. Like, the one person was like, no, I didn't mean to do that, blah, blah, blah. And the other person was like, yeah, but it made me feel that way. And all of a sudden, they worked that out, and I was like, oh, thank God, that was awesome. Now, if people gossip with me, that's my go-to. Have you talked to them about it? I can set the meeting up if you want, so you guys can talk about this issue. Oh, never gossip with me again. It's an easy boundary. So, and it's almost fun for me to watch someone else squirm when they're gossiping, and I do that. So it has become a game to me, and it's not even hard for me to do that anymore.
But it's something that we've been able to, that's one that we are actually enforcing in our home, where we're requiring our children to go to each other to try to work it out first, instead of like coming to mommy or daddy constantly to tattle, and then have mommy be the mediator, and I'm running around like an octopus, trying to...
Like an octopus on roller skates.
An octopus on roller skates, trying to mediate all of their bickering.
Yeah. So we begin to make powerful choices. We begin to teach our children how to make powerful choices.
Right.
We make fun with it, make a game out of it. We don't say the T word. We take the T off of can't, and now it becomes can. And we obviously they're our children, so they don't have all the tools or all the answers. That's our part, our side of it. So we are constantly reinforcing how you should talk to that person, the kinds of things that you would say when you feel that way. And
would you like me to tell you how I would handle it? We give them some suggestion. Would you like to hear a suggestion from me?
Or I know when I went through that, sometimes the conversation will be like that with our kids. I know when I've went through that in the past that I felt this way, and this is how I had to handle it. And so it begins to instantly teach our children how to make powerful choices.
Yes.
So
a lot of people have talked about corporate culture in the last, decade. Everybody wants their company to have a certain kind of feel or something like that. But there's also a family culture. There's a culture for your personal life, and that is the aroma or the flavor that you give off. And so you get to be powerful in those kinds of situations, in your personal life, your atmosphere around you. You get a chance to make a change, and those changes have far-reaching effects. And so you get to choose. Is your home, is your family, is your life, is it run by peace or is it run by stress? Is it run by kindness, or are you living a life of being rude? Is it gentle or is it harsh? Is it orderly or is it chaotic? And so those are the kinds of things where you are not a victim. You get to be very, very powerful to choose what your internal register is going to consist of. And you get to choose that as a family, as a couple. You get to choose that. And then I get to choose, okay, this is my home. This is my family. And so I get to choose, yes, my family is going to be orderly. We're not going to allow this chaos anymore. You kids jumping on the couch, you're welcome to sit down, or you're welcome to go play like that outside. Or we are going to speak with kindness and gentleness in this home. So those words didn't line up with that. Would you like to change that, or would you like to go sit in your room for a little bit?
And we talk, atmosphere is a word around our place, like or setting the atmosphere. So when she's talking about setting the atmosphere or the corporate culture, that kind of thing, often she'll remind me, or I'll remind her, are you the thermostat or the thermometer? Right? So are you measuring the temperature or the atmosphere or the stress in the room, and you're just, recording that back? This is the atmosphere. Everything's stressed. I'm stressed. Or are you willing to be the thermostat, where you are the one who sets the atmosphere temperature, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that anybody has gone to a party or a store or wherever out in public, and you can just kind of feel either if someone is being very negative, like if you're in a line at a store, at a checkout line, and the lady in front of you is complaining loudly, and how are these cashiers, they're so slow, the atmosphere that she's emitting would be so negative, and it's really easy for other people to also pick that up. Yeah, this store, they're always, whatever. Or I could choose to actually affect the atmosphere around me by my personal choices, instead of going under that and acting like everybody else around me. I could choose what's right no matter what, because I have control over myself. And so I could go, oh, well, it seems like she's doing the best she can do. Or,
who knows what she's going through. She might have, lost a loved one this week and her mind is somewhere else, or whatever. You can say anything there, and all of a sudden you'll see atmosphere change. When you want to be the thermostat that sets the temperature of what's going on around you, it is very obvious, and it's very clear that it changes more times than not into a good place. When and who knows who that complainer is going through. Like, we don't know what they've been through either. They might be in a rush because their child is sick, and they're trying to get the Tylenol home to get their fever down or whatever. So we don't know what they're going through either. So we're not putting blame on either side, but we are saying that we control our atmosphere, or control the temperature as a thermostat around us. and we can bring the temperature down, everybody cools off, and we can bring hope and love into that situation.
Yes, goodness is always more powerful than any kind of negativity.
Absolutely.
So anything that is good or kind or sweet or loving, those kinds of things actually bring change faster, and they can affect the atmosphere around.
So, very good.
Did we go over all of the solutions?
I think we went over a lot of it.
I think so. I think we have let you know, just a quick reminder, that you have self-control. You are powerful,
very powerful.
Powerful.
Encourage you not to say the T word. Make that can't into a can. Copywriting that too. No, I said it.
You can have it, because like the grammar person inside of me just like cringes with that.
And then secondly, also, just to, as you go through the week, to remember to be the thermostat and not the thermometer. You can feel like I have a good friend, not a good friend, I should say, someone who I follow on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, named Graham Cook, a mentor of mine spiritually that I've never met. But he talks about how he prides himself on the fact that the way he's went through life, that he can walk into a room and within 10 seconds change the atmosphere of the room because he brings goodness and joy. So to be the thermostat of your world, your life, and not the thermometer, and set the atmosphere, set the temperature, bring the goodness, bring the joy, and the love and the peace, and you'll see it'll follow.
So just a reminder that April we're going to be talking about marriage.
Marriage.
Go ahead and send in any kind of questions or topics.
Yeah.
If you and your spouse are constantly, fighting about a certain thing, or if you have hit a wall, you guys just can't seem to figure something out, or if there's something that has worked really well, like in the last 6 months, you guys have done something that you're seeing really great fruit from, send that. We'll talk about that. If you guys are very successful in one area of life, in your marriage, any kind of communication, relationship, lifestyle stuff, that's what we're going to be talking about in April. So send in any topic ideas. Otherwise, we're going to be coming up with our stuff.
Just be rambling along.
And then Skip will be rambling, and we'll have to deal with
a mouth diaper. Is that what I call it?
We'll have to come up with a good name for that to stop the onslaught.
So yes, please send your ideas in. We pretty much every Wednesday in April we're going to have some marriage topic that we're going to hit. We are on the social medias as our names. We say every week. I'm Skip Swiger on everything, Facebook, Twitter, the whole thing. Same with Beth. And we've had hundreds of viewers viewing this, and we're having a lot of fun interacting with everybody. So please send your questions, comments, private messages if you want to.
We won't out you with any of your issues or problems. So we'll keep all of that anonymous if you'd like, and no worries. Like, we won't mention your name.
Yeah, a couple more Wednesdays until April, but in April we will be on a marriage topic. So maybe we should have done that in February, the love month. Anyway, we didn't, so it's February.
No, we're going to do it in April with April Fools.
April Fools! Fools!
You're marriage! A fool! Why would you get married? You get married so that you're living with someone like
She's
that.
So fun.
So cute. All
right.
Okay, love you.
Love you guys.
Love you guys too.
Love you guys too.
We'll love him more.
I love her more.
But love you guys too. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.